Hey everybody, it's Sean from HOLDFAST Bricks. Here I am setting up a new stream with my new thing and my new blah, 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 new camera, new microphone, new setup, new desk, new everything, new backdrop, new all the things. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to be trying this out. And of course, I don't know what I'm doing. So, you know, who knows? I guess I had this plugged in so I can listen to my levels and be like, yep, that sounds like my voice. And then I can do this and go like this and like that. And I wanted to know if the Logitech thing was doing its thing. Do I have to have it open all the time, or who knows? Well, the lights came on, so that's good. And then it looks like it's on bass boost. So yeah, I guess it just works. It's just running in the background. That's good because I wasn't sure. Cool. And again, hey, Sean, it is, what is it? August 23rd. This is my new setup. This is my new lights. I'm going to work on the backdrop a little bit more. It's a bit messy. I've got the arcade cabinet. That's my old classic. It was a wedding anniversary gift for my wife. There is a guy that lives out on the Digby Neck in rural Nova Scotia, and he repairs video game consoles for a living. I don't know if do I want to wear these headphones. I don't think I want to wear these headphones. I'm gonna have to listen to myself. You know what's interesting about doing podcasting is that you can't listen to music unless there's a way to figure that out. So I'm going to talk to some experts and be like, how do I actually enjoy being on a podcast or a live stream and listen to some cool music while I'm doing this? My camera's zooming in and out, so we're going to turn that off. Anyway, yes, HOLDFAST Bricks. So yes, the arcade cabinet came from a guy named Randy, and he repairs arcade cabinets out on the Digby Neck, and he has a warehouse, and well, he has an old house, an old shed maybe, and in it there was a bunch of stuff that was in disrepair, and this is a what do you want to call it? A cabaret style. So cabaret style are smaller. It's meant for single player, but I crammed in two Street Fighter. Look at that. Whoa. I forgot about whiteboard mode. So if I do this, it goes to whiteboard mode. But if I do this, it searches in my, back to that. Yes, I do not have a whiteboard. Thank you. Let's zoom back into my face. There we go. Anyway, the arcade cabinet's pretty cool. And so yes, it's a cabaret style arcade cabinet. And that's normally smaller. And so that's the original coin-op functions. But the buttons above, which you can see in yellow, those are actually like player one start, player one coin, player two start, player two coin. So there was a really full functioning arcade system in there for a while. And then maybe about 10 years ago that I put that together. And then I upgraded my main desktop PC, and I took my old desktop PC components and put them inside this cabinet. So it's now capable of running a ton of stuff, except that I haven't taken the time to set it up. So the monitor is the same, the keyboard's the same, the controllers are all the same. Basically, it's using I can't remember the name of the chip. It's been so long, but there's a chip in there that will convert it to a USB signal. So you're basically lining in arcade cabinets and buttons, and those are all traditional real buttons. They're not some knockoff, like they have those one-up arcade machines where they've mass-produced things, and they're not the same tactile switches that a classic arcade cabinet would have. Like these ones actually click, click when you hit the buttons, and it's old technology. So it's nice, but it doesn't work. So it's just there, and it's taken up room for a long time. So the Starfighter aspect of it, you can see the title is Starfighter. So the video game that came in the Starfighter movie, I don't know if anybody's not seen it or seen it. Hopefully you have, but if not, go watch Starfighter. And yeah. There is a video game, and the plot is that some teenage guy is really good at playing this game, and then because he got the high score, an alien comes to visit him and says, "You are selected to, basically fight off an alien race in a war in outer space." So, but that game never existed in real life. They created it just for the movie, and then there was maybe a thought that they were going to turn it into something, but technology at the time, it's kind of neat. Like it would have been like Pac-Man era, so very basic graphics. But then the movie came out, and it was actually quite fancy graphics. So somebody in the 90s or the 2000s recreated the game from what appeared in the movie. And so that style of graphics turned it into a game and then gave it some sort of scoring system and fleshed it out to make it an actual playable thing. And as far as I've never gotten a high enough score for anyone to come visit me from outer space. So that said, so I at one point had turned this cabinet into a functioning Starfighter arcade. It has actually a like a single throttle joystick, like a fighter jet joystick with a trigger on the top. And I think in the movie there's like a second, like an actual throttle. Like if you're playing a proper flight simulator game, you have your yoke and then your throttle. It's a 2 separate sticks. So I think in the movie they have both of those, but the game itself only uses the yoke thing. So I have a yoke with buttons, and then I took that panel off and then I switched it with this one so you can actually play Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or Pac-Man or whatever. Anyway, the long story short about that arcade cabinet, but it's there because anyway, I got an Ewok. The Ewok's from my sister. Pretty cool. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about bricks, because bricks are my business, and they're clearly your business too, not arcade cabinets. So I am standing here on this whatever Thursday afternoon. I am just sent 1,000 emails. I'm going to do a quick build after all that rambling, but I wanted to acknowledge one thing, and that is Lego and Adidas have apparently parted ways. So these are, can I jump down? There we go. Look at that. These are my Lego Superstars. I got a pair. I saw them for sale and I was like, oh my gosh, it's my favorite shoe. When I was a small child, I used to have friends that were into rap music. This was in the late 80s, I guess it would have been. I would have been 10, 11, 12. I had this older chum named Marcus and his brother Dominic, and they were into rap. And this is in Saskatchewan, and there's very few people of color. Well, no, there's a lot of white people and a lot of First Nations people, and that this whole thing sounds like a horrible. I'm just trying to explain. Everyone, it was like a bunch of white kids who were really into rap. So then I got into rap, and then I got into the Beastie Boys, and then I got into Run DMC, and then I got into this. Anyway, it was kind of a funny, weird subculture that existed at the YMCA of Regina in Saskatchewan in the late 80s and early 90s. And everyone that I knew bought Superstars. And I bought, and they were probably from the, not the Salvation Army, but the Army and Navy store. There's an Army and Navy store down the road. I'm going to take these headphones off too. I'm going to unplug them. There we go. Anyway, Army and Navy store, and they were probably like $20 to buy these back in the late 90s. And so I wore them until they turned brown, and then I bought another pair, and they were really cheap because nobody wanted them. Like, they were cool. I'm going to turn my volume down. Can I turn my volume down a little bit? How about that? Yeah, that looks good. Anyway, but Superstars. So I had this relationship with these shoes. So then when Lego came out with this design a couple of years ago, I was super overjoyed, though I was admittedly a little bit. Can I actually turn this down? No, I'm going to use my mouse and turn it down. Microphone's a little hot. There we go. It's a little better. But they were maybe $120 for one shoe. Here's one shoe, $120. I could go to Foot Locker and get a pair of shoes that I could wear for about $120, maybe $99, maybe $105, maybe something like that. And so I was dismayed. I was kind of thinking they would be a $50 set or something like that. But I really wanted them. And I also was dismayed that you only got the one. So, like, again, you get a pair of wearable ones for about the same price as one. So I said, well, if I ever get them, I have to get two. And that's suddenly now $250 worth of stuff. And look at here now. So what happened was I loved it, and then my wife got me one, and then I was forced into buying them. So then I was like, well, I got to buy the second one now. So it seemed like half as much as it was, but actually my wife and I have joint bank accounts, so it was the same price. But now I have two. And these shoelaces, when I was building this, it was on a lug group chat call. It was over Christmas time a couple years ago. And I was building my first one, and I was theorizing about the shoelace, and it was like, oh, Lego, as soon as it's a Lego part, it's going to go up in value. And like I'm actually surprised, but like the Adidas emblem being printed on a prick, it's not a sticker. So I was like, oh, that's going to be worth a bunch of money, and this and that and the rest of it. So I theorized on the call that it was going to be like $10 per shoelace, because these are legitimate Lego shoelaces. And I think I looked it up on Bricklink, and there was a seller in, I think, Spain or Europe that had them for 30 cents a piece. And I was like, 30 cents a piece? That's unbelievable. It's actually cheaper to buy shoelaces from Bricklink than it would be to buy them anywhere else. So I, of course, went on Bricklink and bought like 20 pairs of shoelaces, because, you could actually go to Walmart and spend $1.99 for a pair, or you can order them in from Spain in bulk and pay 30 cents, 50 cents after you pay shipping or whatever, taxes and VAT and all that stuff. It probably actually ended up being much more expensive. But either way, so there have been some builds where I've put the shoelaces in, including the lobster trap that I've got somewhere in storage. It's going to get put together one more time, the lobster trap, and then documented in nice photographs, and then I guess dismantled. I don't know. Or maybe donated to a fishing museum. But anyway, these are where the shoelaces came from, the Adidas shoes. And these ones in particular are beautiful. They are signed, actually. See if we can see it. Matthew Parsons. Can we see that here? So Matthew Parsons. I'm just trying to figure out if I can zoom in at the same time. But Matthew Parsons is a graphic designer, senior graphic designer, I think, is a full-time graphic designer with the Lego Group in Denmark. And he happened to be in town last summer, and I had these with me, and I actually accused his friend of designing them, because I think he shared the images on his Instagram. And anyway, but he was like, I didn't design these, I just really like them, so I shared them. But Matthew Parsons happened to be there, and so he signed this shoe for me. So it's now personalized. Not personalized, but these are very rare versions. And this, strangely, is just the boutonniere, maybe, is that what the official word is, from my best pal's wedding. Claire and Pam got married a couple years ago, and that flower arrangement has sat in those shoes ever since I got home and put them there, and that's my safe space. So anyway, Lego and Adidas apparently have parted ways. This, I think, was the origin of the relationship. And strangely, actually, I'm going to pop over. These are the gift with purchase that you could get with them. Of course, they're a little bit wonky. These ones I had, I guess, famously or infamously, and early in my Instagram, there's a feed where where I've got them set on Grogu. So like the Baby Yoda Grogu kit that came out whenever it was. He basically stands flat on the bottom of his cloak, but then I put these under, built a little structure underneath so Grogu could have them, because that's cool. And I actually have two more, and I have put them on an AT-AT or an AT-AT, as I call it. But it was really unstable, so I needed to do more work, blah, 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 blah. But at some point, maybe we'll do that again and take some more pictures of them. But anyway, I really like Adidas shoes, so the Superstars in particular. I really like or shell toes, as I would have called them. And Lego, of course, is a popular thing around the house. Also, Star Wars is part of this too, because Adidas has partnered with Star Wars to make, limited edition Princess Leia stuff or whatever Han Solos. I've got Millennium Falcon or Smugglers, I think they are. So I've got Lego Adidas. I've got Lego Star Wars. I've got Star Wars Adidas. I've got, anyway, it's a big mashup of things. And I haven't even thought about that, but I have. There's a behind me is another mock that I've done of Princess Leia in Lego with the Adidas logo in it, which I totally different thing. But anyway, so Lego and Adidas had this partnership, and they came out with a whole bunch of kids apparel, lots of shoes. I have, I believe, 4 or 5 pair of Lego Adidas shoes. They are like the ZX 9000s that they've had a couple different years where they had all black, all blue, all red. Then they had a crazy color version. Then they had a partnership with a couple NBA players, Donovan Mitchell being one of them. Donovan Mitchell played for the Utah Jazz. Now I can't remember. He plays the Wizards maybe. But he had a pair of shoes that should have been more prepared. I could have brought them all out. Maybe I'll slide them into a slideshow later on. But anyway, really nice partnership. So it made sense to me. But then just yesterday or the day before, they announced that Lego has partnered with Nike, depending on who you are. I don't know, Nike. I always kind of liked it, Nike, but Nike, which is, it's inevitable. And I do value the quality air shoes that Nike does make. But there's gonna be a little bit of me that's a little sad that Adidas is no longer part of the club. But I will always have these to cherish. Thank you, Matthew, for signing my shoe. And I'll do an Instagram post as well. But just thought I'd mention that because I was tidying up my office and I was like, oh, my shoes are dusty. I should dust them. But today, we've been 17 minutes in already. Holy cow. I want to build something. And it's kind of funny. So here's a bunch of bags. Whole bunch of bags. So what I've been doing over the last number of years is buying bulk collections from people. If I see a bulk collection on Marketplace or on Kijiji or on something and it's just a mishmash of junk and the prices are okay, which is rare because most people, especially locally, overvalue their collections. Like, it's very common to see like box of Lego, $500. You're like, maybe it's worth that much if you clean it and then sort it and then part it out, and there actually is like 1 or 2 really like rare-ish sets in there, and then you got to find all the parts and it's going to take you 100 hours, and maybe you could actually make that $500 if you took your time to do it. But sometimes you luck out. Sometimes it's just like, I'm clearing out my basement, $100, and you're like, okay, cool, there's a TIE fighter in there that I want to see. And actually, this is, I should have also prepared this. I had it on my other desktop, and I've got 2 machines here, which is interesting, but I want to build the, which one do I want? 7149. 7146. 7146. So this is a little bit of history for the kids. But the 7146 Lego Star Wars, right? So Lego Star Wars is 25 years old right now. I am older than that. So this was one of the first kits that came out. It actually came as 2 different sets, so 7149 and 71 something, but it's the exact same model. And I know that I have probably one of both. One of them came with, and I See, this is what I'm learning. I should have come prepared. One of them came with a Stormtrooper and a TIE Fighter pilot, and one of them came with a Darth Vader, and a very rare Darth Vader, which if you click his head in, it's a minifigure that has a battery in it and a little light, and it actually lights up his lightsaber, which is pretty cool and pretty rare. I believe the Darth Vader only came with that set. Or the light up Darth Vader came with that set only. I think there was I can't remember her name. The Jedi, she was like a lady Jedi with brain tails. Not Ahsoka. Like Cat Mundi or something like that. I don't know. Jedis. But so you could get a light up version of that Jedi. You could get a Mace Windu light up. You can get an Anakin Skywalker light up. Look at that. You can get a Obi-Wan Kenobi light up as well. Yes, it's going to tell me we cannot find the whiteboard. I just got to get better at not doing some sort of gang signs with my hands. Anyway, so yes, you can get light up Darth Vader with this set, or you can get the other one. So the instructions, the 7146 that I pulled up, is for the standard version, which does not have a Darth Vader. Let's see if I can stop zooming in and out. It's a cool camera. But anyway, so I've been buying up bulk lots, and every once in a while I will identify a set, and then I'll say, oh, this is 50% finished. There we go. It's 50% finished. That's a nice little touch, the little flower in there. So I make these notes. 7146 TIE Fighter pilot, yes. Stormtrooper, no. Appears complete, 100%. Blue discoloration. So yes, so this is a vintage set. So blue was one of those colors. Blue and gray and white specifically are colors that like ultraviolet light has affected substantially. So you can see here, like this is all from the same set, and it's almost impossible to see on the camera. A little bit too far away. One of the things about the grill piece that's on the lower half is, it's kind of like got a little brownish orangey tinge to it. Like it's not as bright and blue as this piece, obviously. And this one's actually pretty good. Sometimes it'll be like one side will be discolored. Anyway, so when I was at Bricksplosion, which was my big event a week and a bit ago, there was my pal Nico, and if you care anything, see that one's pretty discolored too. Anyway, Nico is Nico Builds, I think, on Instagram, Nico_builds. See that one's, see, I can, so what I'm going to do is build it, and then I'm going to actually identify what pieces probably need to get swapped out, because I have 2 of these TIE Fighters. And I also, like the piece, I have a ton of vintage bricks, especially blue and gray, and they're actually in a bin. Like this one looks perfect, and this one looks aged. So it was like one side of the set was probably sitting somewhere near a window, and over time it just got discolored. So this is old dark gray, old blue. Blue hasn't specifically changed. The tone of modern blue and old blue is the same. It's just that old blue, it seems they must have changed the chemistry enough to make it less susceptible to discoloration. So I am going to put it together just in front of us because that's what I actually intended to do today. So Nico was building Nico's amazing. Nico's great. Nico took a challenge from myself And I was like, okay, and this was many months ago, and I was like, Bricksplosion's coming, everyone, you should come and get, you know, excited about stuff, and yay. And I do have a dusting, because this would have been assembled. And there's a couple pieces that I've already seen, like a little bit too much depth, but that's what this is. Go to your favorite cosmetics section, or go to Amazon, or go to wherever, and just get a blush brush, because it's not even that hard. It's just that it's so dense that, you know, doing this, you'll get in, do little circling patterns. You'll get in between all the knobs on a kit. So that way you can dust properly. And it seems like I might be missing one piece. So again, this is dark gray, like vintage dark gray. So not dark bluish gray. So if I am missing a piece, I have to go into my dark bluish gray bin, and it looks like I'm missing a piece already. Is it on the butt of the pilot? No, it is not on the, so it would have been sitting here. So mental note, we will continue with that. Sorry, I've got the instructions just over here on this side. And this. And this way up. Anyway, so Nico took a challenge. Many months ago, I was like, Bricksplosion's coming up. Everyone, wouldn't it be cool if we did a really awesome Star Wars display? And so oh, this is interesting. The instructions go down and not across. Wouldn't it be cool if someone did an amazing Star Wars display? We could collaborate, or, you know, wouldn't it be neat if there was like a dioramas or scenes that we could, you know, collaborate on, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Nico then took it upon himself. Nico is if you look up Nico Bricks or Nico Builds, I think it might be Nico Builds. I'll link him in the comments. And I'm missing another piece. So clearly this is not complete. What I'm going to do is just bip down here. And pull up this one. This is what it's going to look like. Spoiler. But this actually should have enough spare parts in it, which it doesn't. See, there's 3 of them. I've got a TIE bomber and a TIE. I've got 2 TIE bombers, 2 TIE advance, and keep that over there. 2 TIE bombers, 2 TIE advance, and crazy. That's not missing. I'm just an idiot. I already put the piece on. I'm like, it's missing something. I don't even know what to do. Anyway, but yes, Nico Bricks. Nico took to the challenge and said, I will build some cool Star Wars things. And then he went at it. And he basically, oh, see, look at this. As soon as I say, don't worry, I got it, that's when I realize, nope, I don't got it. But here's a piece right there. It's exactly the one I'm missing. So there is a reason why I kept this here. There we go. So Nico built, he has much of the first lineup of Star Wars. So all the sets that came out 25 years ago, including the pod racers and the X-Wing fighter. That's I think it was it from Dagobah? That was it that TIE fighter that might have came out, or maybe there was just a plain TIE fighter. There was a I think an AT-AT Walker. There was just a whole bunch of stuff. So he made the sets from his collection, and then he built a diorama for each one of them. And so the dioramas were kind of huge. Like, so they have full size, like the Millennium Falcon is like the Hoth snowy ice hangar. So he built the whole hangar. And I think there was maybe a snow speeder the first run. So there was the snow speeder, the Millennium Falcon in a whole scene. And then he built an Ewok village just to put in the AT-AT. The speeder bikes. So he built a whole Ewok village, all the trees, just to build the speeder bikes. So he went overboard in a wonderful way. It was a treat to see, and I'm very excited that he puts that, not just show it at Bricksplosion, but at many events. So then while he was there, he was like, oh geez, there's a good deal on a whatever it was. I think that was what he bought. He bought the AT-AT. He bought the AT-AT while he was at the event. And he then made the comment, if there's one thing that I want, it's a TIE fighter, because I think he had Vader's TIE, like a TIE Advance. I think he was using the TIE Advance as Vader's ship. And then he wanted a standard TIE so he could have it like off to one side. And I said, I think I might have one. And so in the last couple of days, I've been tidying up this whole new setup that I started digging. And underneath my desk are a bunch of bins of bulk brick. And in them are somewhat separated, like these notes, where I've gone through, identified what the set is, and then tried to kind of tidy them. But often when you're buying bulk, it's like, here's a half of a ship. It's recognizable as a thing, but it's also not complete, or it's gunky. It's just a little dusty in there. Cakey. I do also have a toothbrush. That's usually, I have a soft bristled toothbrush that if there's anything that's really in there that this thing doesn't get off, then I use the soft bristled toothbrush. I love old instructions too, because it doesn't actually give you the parts that you're using. It's just, you look at it and go, is that it? And then you go to the next picture and you go, is that it? Is that complete? Because it doesn't say one of these and one of those. The instructions on modern day Lego sets are so much better. Anyway, so Nico was like, the TIE Fighter, that'd be the one thing I want. And I was like, I bet I have it. And then I was opening my boxes and I remembered. And then I opened another box and I was like, wait a minute. And interesting fact, people have always complained, there's modern Lego sets out there that have made stormtroopers, and when Finn famously came out as a First Order stormtrooper as a black man, this pilot was the minifigure, the head is brown, not reddish brown, but now it would be reddish brown. So this technically is the very first black stormtrooper, or trooper, I suppose. I am still missing that gray, and I'm like, do I want to dig more later, or just find one here? There's not one there. I'll just find it later. But anyway, there's the cockpit coming along. There's the... Oh, that's not the one. This one. Click. Then we get this and this. And this. Whoop. Real simple mechanism. I really like these old vintage hinges. One blue thing on the back. Underside. Yep. Missing pieces again. Well, this is not on there, so I'm missing more than I expected. It said in the note, appears complete. What I do have are even more bags. So one of these, this is the Thai Bomber. And this is the Thai Advance, but let's open the Thai Advance. It's in more parts. So then I'll have to dig more, which is great. Yeah, this is fun, isn't it? I could just dive into my other parts. Or do I just skip it for now and come back to it and go like, ta-da! This is what it looks like when it's finished. Let's do that. These pieces don't seem of dire importance. This seems to be a structural element. These are neat. These little peak pieces. They don't make those much anymore. And so pick pieces. But just super simple like this in itself, because I'd seen this on the other bins, but it's like 2 clips held on with a 2x4 in the or a 2x2 on the bottom and a 2x2 roof piece, and you just stick them on the side, and that's the connector. Nowadays it's like reinforced this and that, and it's overkill. But is it overkill actually? I'm sure that these fall apart a lot more easily than the other ones do. Oh, I skipped a step. Totally skipped a step. Yeah, I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff. So I need... I'm going to put this on there. I'm going to come back and rebuild this off camera, because there's too many missing pieces. But we'll get the wings and things assembled. Hopefully there's enough stuff to do that. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So who's going to Brick World Chicago? Anybody going to Brick World Chicago? They just opened up ticket sales last night. Brick World Chicago is next June, which is ominous to me because that's how far ahead they're planning. Bricksplosion was a great success. Absolutely great success. But the idea of planning that far ahead for an event seems crazy to me, but that's how people succeed, right? They plan ahead. But for me to be starting sales of tickets and all that kind of stuff now, that to me like is jumping the gun. I do want to find the right venue. That's by far the most important thing in my life right now, because I'm putting all the damaged pieces. This is very, like, you can see the difference. Oh yeah, you can see it on there. So like the center point has a little cap on it, that little rebel or imperial symbol. So this side, this top piece those 2x4 plates are not so badly damaged, but this one is. Anyway, so Brick World Chicago, it was an amazing event to go to. I went there with Zachary Steinman, which was a great experience for us both. There was so much going on. It's such a big event. It's just huge. Like it's the biggest Lego convention in North America. So there's so much activity. There's so many workshops. I signed up for like half a dozen workshops and only got to. No, I signed up for a dozen workshops and only got to half a dozen of them. Because you inevitably start like just talking with people. And talking with people suddenly, well, it's also why you're there, right? You want to not even network, but just like finally have that conversation with that person you've been following on Instagram forever, or discover new people that you now want to follow on Instagram, and they happen to be nice, and they're like, hey, how's it going? You want to talk about this? And you go, okay, cool. So it was such a good vibes event. So if anyone's thinking of going, I do recommend it. I am not sure if I'm going to go. Last year was it was a great experience, but I honestly don't know if I have the budget in me to go every year. So if I'm going to go, I'm going to go every other year, maybe. So that's my current thought on it, is that maybe next year. But there's so many other conventions to go to, and I've heard really good things. Like Brick Slopes is this weekend, and it's in Utah. I met some of the organizers, or the organizer of it, when I was in Chicago. Super nice dude, Cody. And that would be a fun event to go to, but of course it's on the other side of the continent. In that we are in Nova Scotia. I am in Nova Scotia. Zachary Steinman's in Nova Scotia. It's really far to get to Utah from here. And so you have to kind of weigh that with how many days you're going to go, how much travel time it's going to cost. Being in the United States is not cheap. That's most of the discolored blue. But it was an absolutely good time. The builds that were on display were stunning. The talent on display, like it's one of those places that the best of the best go to show off the best of the best. They've been working on these things for the last year. Maybe they only go to one show, and this is the one show they go to, or this is where they unveil their newest creation, and then they take it to a couple of other locations. So it is an impressive show. I met some wonderful people, and I hope to cherish those friendships for the rest of time. There you go. There's some wings. But they did just open up signups last night. It is $120 US to pre-register or register. Early registration is $120. That alone is pretty astounding. The regular one is, I think, $160 once you get in closer to the event date. Then I think it even goes up to $200 in the month before the show. So if you're a last minute registration, that's pricey. Oh golly, what am I doing? I built this one. Oh, that's weird. This is different. Which is weird. I actually think that makes sense. Oops. See, you can't really tell. Aha, because that is weird. You know what? Maybe I'm going to do it that way. Does it make sense to me? In the instructions, they do reference a yellow 2x2 that goes right there. Oh, there we go. Not completely out of my mind. So there's a yellow 2x2 plate, but it makes much more sense to actually use a 2x2 brick, because now you get complete clutch all the way through the wing, all the way to the wing axle, I guess, the wing arm. So there are a couple pieces missing. I'm going to go back in. I have to dig through my gray bins, but here is a finished original TIE Fighter. A mostly finished original TIE Fighter. And what's really interesting is the artwork that they used for the minifigures. They are pretty pitiful, like in the instructions themselves. It's like someone hand drew. There we go. Anyway, so that's that. So I've got a second one, which is mostly in shambles at this point. See if I can put it mostly back together for the illusion that we have two of them. But I'm going to go back in and dive in and identify those few pieces that were just wrong and get the correct vintage and color pieces to replace them with, because that's the kind of guy I am. And then I'm going to call Nico and say, hey, Nico, you mentioned wanting a TIE Fighter, and he does have Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. And in the movie, there were 2 TIE Fighters flanking. You can definitely see that there's some difference between the one that I built today and the original one. Like that top piece doesn't seem quite right, but some kid fixed it, and you know, that's how it is. Anyway, that's the classic 7146 TIE Fighter. It actually, the original set had a weird stand, as if it was like parked in a you know, the Death Star launch bay or the Star Destroyer launch bay or something like that. So they have like a little gray like base. I can't even think of the word. Like, it looks like wrought iron, or it looks like a construction site piece, but it's tall. It's maybe 10 bricks tall, maybe 12 bricks tall, and it just kind of sits on top of it, and it's got a little small stand. So I'm going to try and find those pieces as well. Make it 100% complete. This one needs a pilot, and I think I've got 100 of those pilots somewhere sitting around. But there you go. That is 1 hour, 47 minutes. That's enough we need to do. But anyway, lesson learned. So Nico, I'll be in touch with you. I'm gonna fix these up and make sure that they're flawless, and try and find maybe some less discolored pieces. And also, discoloring is an interesting process. Maybe we'll talk about that in another video. I have a whole bunch of hydrogen peroxide, and I used to lighten my discolored pieces, and it's not that difficult. And I used to do it under a controlled situation, because you actually, so basically discoloration, it's the UV light from the sun, and it will affect Lego bricks. The chemistry, it has basically the sunlight causes it to leach and discolor. But you can just soak the pieces in hydrogen peroxide and put it back in the sun, and it reverses the chemical process. It's very strange that you'd think that the sun would make it worse, but the peroxide basically is magic chemistry. So white is a very heavily affected color, and I was working on I think I was just doing a winter scene, and I think I had just so much discolored white brick that I wanted to clean it up. And definitely for classic space, the vintage gray, before they turned it into bluish gray. So the bluish gray, the chemistry of the plastic made it less likely to discolor, or it took longer to discolor, but everything discolors if you leave it in the sun. But anyway, so I was just looking into it probably 2 years ago. And so I still have this hydrogen peroxide, and it's not, you can get super grade hydrogen peroxide at a hair salon supply store at different percentages of whatever the chemical is. I just got mine from a first aid supply, and I bought like multiple 1 liter bottles and just poured it into a big bucket. And then, so you have to submerge the pieces completely, and then you can put them in the sun, but I also use a black light, and the black light it's a certain wavelength that causes this chemical reaction. So the black light isn't perfect solution, but it does include the wavelength, but not necessarily, so that zooming in and out, it's a bit goofy, but it includes the wavelength enough to affect change, but it's much slower, which is kind of a good thing, because then you can control it and say, okay, put it in for an hour. Does it do anything? Well, it's a little bit lighter, but is it right? Put it in for 2 hours, put it in for 5 hours, put it in for, and I think with the black light and the low percentage solution hydrogen peroxide, it was like 18 hours, and then it would come out and it would just be perfect. Like, it wasn't over bleached, or like they kind of will look bleached if you put it in and leave it in too long. You'll also cause like the plastic too, like if you leave it in forever, it'll like destroy your plastic. It gives it a texture if you go too long, like really too long. Like if you just leave it an extra hour, it might be a little shade too light. But if you leave it in and forget it for a week, it'll cause it to, there'll be a chemical reaction. It'll destroy the plastic. And it becomes like not smooth to touch anymore, which is weird. And it's not permanent too. You can clean up the discoloration from UV, and then, if you leave it near the window again, it's not going to magically prevent it from discoloring again, it is what it is. Yeah. Anyway, so maybe we'll do that, because I do have enough blue pieces and enough dark gray and enough gray that I could probably do a couple more batches. And if I'm doing that, I might as well do it on a camera, and you can be like, that's really interesting, Sean. Really interesting. Anyway, I am going to sign off for today. I have so much more work to do. I just really wanted to test the new setup. I am getting a mount for my new camera that hangs from the ceiling. Currently, this workspace, which you don't really see, is about 4 feet by 6 feet. So I'd like to have it so it's straight up and down, and it can actually look straight down if I'm doing a big build. It's definitely overkill what I've spent on microphones and lights and cameras to do this. So now I have to justify it by actually doing streams. But pour one out for Adidas. I really like that brand. I guess I can show you my Princess Leia as well. My little classic princess, my homage. So Lego does the originals line, like the superstars are part of the originals line. I always thought of Princess Leia as the original princess. So about a year ago, I had these pieces for mosaics, and I was like, what would I do? I should do something. And I have a friend that worked at the Adidas store, and I actually am still going to take this there. I really want to do it obviously soon, because they've lost their contract. But to go in and take a picture with this on the wall at the Adidas store. So it's really just a really simple mosaic, but also with the classic Adidas logo and the brand with the stripes. So this is kind of the collection of all my good vibes. Adidas and Star Wars and Lego. And it's kind of a match made in heaven, but now the contract has expired. Anyway, on that note, keep on building in the free world. Keep on building in the free world. That could do. Keep on building in the free world.